Both Brazil and Portugal secured early qualification for the round of 16 in the Qatar World Cup after beating their opponents in the second round of group games. The other four teams scored as many as 11 goals in their two games, but only Ghana benefited from the competitions to stay in a favorable situation in Group H. Welcome back to CGTN Sports Talk. I am Li Xiang, and I'm glad to be joined by my colleague Josh here.
Great to be back.
Hey, for Brazil, I know that they were going through a lot of trouble without Neymar to run their offense, but I didn't expect only one goal from that game. I think they are kind of poor in seizing those opportunities.
Yeah, that game was really... It's one of those things which, on one hand, really difficult to watch. On another hand, kind of expected, because Switzerland have become something of a problem these past few tournaments. They're kind of like... I don't know. I don't know what the best comparison would be. Say like Burnley under Sean Dyche, in the sense of not very flashy, not very good, not very attacking, but they will cause problems. They will prevent you from getting ahead. They knocked out France in the Euros. They took Argentina to the limit in the previous World Cup. The way they were set up here, they basically spent all night just kind of making sure Brazil couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And you're expecting this Brazil side, with all that talent they have, to really be able to make a breakthrough. And instead they struggled and struggled and struggled. The goal came on the 83rd minute. They had a previous goal ruled offside because of Richarlison breaking the lines. But we shouldn't be waiting that long for a Brazil side with Richarlison, Vinicius, Rafinha, all these big names, where on the other side of the ball, it's like, Granit Xhaka, Remo Freuler. Jan Sommer is a fantastic goalkeeper, and I think that is a major upside for the Switzerland team. But I feel like the biggest takeaway is just how disappointing all of Brazil were in being unable to move the ball quickly, accurately. Basically, this shouldn't have ended 1-0, even though yes, they did get the points. And they probably looked at it in the same way a lot of teams have looked at it, where they've looked at the second day of their group stage, already on 3 points, everyone else on 1 or 0, realize they can probably get through. They don't need to give it all their effort, especially without Neymar moving the ball. But I still come away from this thinking that we should have got a lot more out of this Brazil side.
Yeah, that's true. The goal by Casemiro, it's a good goal, but what I really liked about it was, do you remember after the 2006 World Cup, or maybe the following edition, people were talking about Brazil became so European, like their playing style was so industrialized. It was not like the fun and samba football of Brazil tradition anymore. But this goal of Casemiro, the 3 or 2 ball movements before it happened, it did remind me something that I could see from the Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and Ronaldinho in 2002. That was something I missed a long time.
Yeah, this thing with samba football, it's been gone for a very long time with this Brazil squad. But yeah, you are right. That goal was lovely. It's one of the best I've seen in the tournament so far. But it was just a little moment of brilliance, and that was it. The rest of it was just really struggling to do anything, which I don't know if that's going to be an omen going forward, because now they're top of the group, as far as I can tell, unless... Well, no, because they just beat Switzerland and they have the goal difference. They're guaranteed to be the top of their group. So I'm sure that this next game they're going to go into, they're not going to try too hard, but when it gets to the knockouts, I really need to see them perform better than this. Otherwise, I don't see them getting too far into the tournament.
Then what about, say, Neymar will miss, reportedly, both of the group games. If he doesn't return in the round of 16, do you think Brazil can go through that, or they will be really struggling?
It's kind of weird, because I've only seen this one performance from Neymar in this tournament, obviously, because it's the only game he played. But he seemed to be more of a team player than he had been before. And yet there were still those times where he gets tackled and he throws himself to the ground. and sometimes he's still a bit of that bratty superstar. You watch how this team play, and again, it's like on one hand they weren't moving the ball so well, they weren't as threatening as they should have been. On the other hand, I'm not so sure if he's missed, because it's one less thing to worry about. It kind of spreads out the opponent, so you should be able to move the ball more freely. It's a very strange situation. I would like to see him back, because I do think he still has a lot to offer for this side.
Yeah.
But I do think that I come away from this thinking, more so than Neymar coming back, I feel like they should be starting Rodrigo, starting Anthony, keep certain players on the bench, just liven things up. Like Lucas Paqueta, he started both of these games now as like a attacking midfielder. He's not really done anything. He seems to be more of a passenger than anyone else. So just liven it up, get these younger players on. They've basically got a free game to practice with. So I'd like to see that from their next performance.
I think this way, say, it's, there's a word like a double-edged sword. For me, it's something similar to Brazil. Like, if Neymar comes back and continues to do like what Lionel Messi does, it's totally good. It's a bonus for Brazil. But if he doesn't, they do have so many young and talented players to count on, and they can do that. That's actually an early completion of team transition from the older generation to the young generation, which can also be a good thing for Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing which I think goes back to what we were saying about Croatia and definitely about Belgium, is if you don't have this constant conveyor belt of young talent coming in, old talent leaving, you do end up in the situation like they are in, where it's just an old team and you get run around by the younger sides. So this Brazil team is full of talent, but you are right in the sense of like there's a lot of young ones in there who need to be blooded in to go alongside the slightly older ones who, Thiago Silva, for example, should be, I mean, he is the captain, but he should be leading the younger squad. Whether Neymar can do the same in the attacking positions, I don't really know.
So in the Portugal game, Ronaldo was pretty upset when he found that the goal was not written under his name. Do you think he really touched the goal with his hair?
Well, that's it. Like, when the replays were going on, they did like 4 or 5 different angles, and it's like on one of the angles you can see like the ball kind of grazes his hair, but it doesn't actually move in terms of like change trajectory, slow down, speed up, change its angle, whatever. So it yes, it did touch his hair, but it didn't do anything, so it doesn't really matter in the end. But you can tell that, he was very upset about it.
Yeah.
However, even if it did go in off him, all it does is confirm our suspicions that the star of this team now is Bruno Fernandes, who did absolutely everything in every attacking position. I know he's officially out on the right, but he's kind of much of a floating winger. And as soon as the ball gets to him in that, in the channels where he tends to play, give him an inch of space, give him a second of time, and he's going to find something. He is if he wasn't already basically being groomed to be a big thing at Ten Hag's United, I feel like this would be his breakout performance, his breakout tournament. He's like, for me, this confirms he is the real deal, so to speak.
Do you think? I don't think Uruguay in this game performed any better than they did against South Korea. Actually, it was the same bad. It was so chaotic and nothing is united. But do you think Portugal actually did better in this one, and to show that they can go further than expected in the round of 16 or the knockout stage?
Yeah, this is for like basically a team in a Portugal team in ascendancy and a Uruguay team. Well, they haven't really done anything, so I can't say decline. But I had them as my dark horses, and I'd say that this is proof that if they are a dark horse, they are still very much in the stable, because the Portugal squad, I think that is noticeable, is Ronaldo is a problem, because he just plays in his own, he is just where he is, right in front of the box, doesn't track back. Like, we kind of know it, but they've at least been able to build like 9 men around him who are flowing, who are attacking, who play incredible football, and then they fit Ronaldo into it. And then, as was quite noticeable, when he got taken off in the 82nd minute because they were already 2-0 up, suddenly that team felt like it had a lot more people in it. And then that led to the penalty because they were so much more attacking than they were before. However, you look at the other side of things, and this Uruguay side, going back to what we just said about the young talent moving in, the old talent moving out, and how you need to have a balance, this feels like you have two separate teams, young players and old players, and they are operating on two separate stages. Having this front two where you have Darwin Nunez first alongside Cavani, then alongside Luis Suarez, there's no like chemistry at all between them, because it isn't just that Nunez is like a young player.
No.
He's a striker who just plays everywhere. He's always looking after, he's always chasing the ball, always trying to make things move. But then you have Cavani, who is static, waiting for service, which is not going to come because Nunez is already there swiping the ball. Luis Suarez, as we saw yesterday when that corner came in right towards the end, he's just a second too slow, slightly lacking that killer instinct. There isn't the pacey player playing off the veteran scorer. It just feels like the young players are playing their game, the older players are playing their game, and there's nothing in between. Bentancur was great on the left, but he had no one to really lead up to because Nunez isn't in his usual position. Once again, they still haven't found out a way of having him be a central striker that everyone can point the ball towards, because they've got to fit in Cavani, they've got to fit in Suarez, and that is a really difficult situation to find themselves in.
I guess not every veteran, especially for Uruguay, can be playing as well as Diego Forlan. And so for the other two games, there were, like I said, 11 goals, which were very exciting to watch and fun to watch. But I guess 3 of the 4 teams were very disappointed at the results, and Ghana is the only exception.
Yeah, that opening game with Cameroon and Serbia, that in the space of, how many minutes was it? It was like 5 minutes that Cameroon's comeback was on. That went from being the most exciting, most dynamic, most surprising performance from Serbia, almost to the degree where they suddenly became, say, tournament dark horses who can do a job and cause a lot of difficulties for other teams, to just being a team that completely crumbled. Because the thing is, in the first half, you had Castelletto's goal, and then suddenly that fired up the Serbian squad, who, from Lukic and Maksimovic in midfield, pushed forward quite high, and then that set up like constant pressure basically. And then you had Milinkovic-Savic's incredible goal where him and Zivkovic were just kind of running through the static defense of Cameroon. And then Alexander Mitrovic, who is one of the most underrated players in modern football, had that really fantastic shot barely moments later in the start of the second half. Sorry, I got confused. Pavlovic had that great goal. A few minutes later, Milinkovic-Savic got that fantastic one when he's running through the defense. The second half starts, and yes, Mitrovic just had that fantastic goal. And then I don't really know what happened. Like, I know they're 3-1 up and they were playing fine, but it felt as if like the back line just stopped paying attention. And when Rigobert Song brought on Vincent Aboubakar for Cameroon, he's their like talismanic striker, their like main man. He just starts causing trouble, and he scores that goal very clearly assuming that he's offside. And it's a fantastic like arcing ball, but he was given so much space because I guess Velkovic and Milenkovic thought that he was going to get called back. Didn't happen. Then suddenly it's game on, and the same thing happened. Like as soon as the ball went back into play, this time with Choupo-Moting, with Abubakar playing him onside. Suddenly it's 3-3 again, and all the verve, all the energy from the Serbia squad disappeared. All that quality just seemed to vanish from the pitch. I don't know what happened in the space of 3 minutes. Like, they basically have to be upset with themselves. And then, like you say, you go to the other side with the South Korea and Ghana game. Ghana starts great. The Ayew brothers play Salisu and Kudus on for goals. And then in the second half, seem to just assume, okay, we're 2-0 up, everything is fine. Korea press, similar situation in the space of 3 minutes. Gui-sung Cho scores 2 fantastic headers. Then suddenly, Otto Addo knows that his Ghana side have to close them down. They close everything down, so that forces Korea to play really high up, leaves plenty of space for Mohamed Kudus, who turns things around less than 10 minutes later. And then from there, they shut up shop. And you had this Korea side who are constantly threatening with crosses, with corners. But for some reason, maybe it's because of the injury and he's playing behind that mask, whatever it is, Son Heung-min had several chances where if he would have just taken it first with his left, I don't know if he doesn't normally play with both feet. Typically, he's a right-footed player. I don't really know. I'm not a big Tottenham fan. But so many chances where just if he took on his left first hit, he probably would have banged a goal in. Instead, he takes a touch, runs back in, and because Ghana from the 70th minute onwards are playing with like 10 men behind the ball, he simply can't get anything done. And basically in all cases, you look across at these goals, it's 3-minute stretches of they score, suddenly the team is in disarray, they score a second, then everyone sits behind the ball. And the same thing either happens in reverse as it happened in the Cameroon-Serbia game, or the game just gets shut down. And in all cases, all teams involved, even I would say Ghana, who eventually won, will have to be looking at their defensive structure and wondering why it is they just give in so quickly. Because that's the recurring theme of all these games.
Yeah, that's true. For Son, I don't think I know him 100% well, but I think first, wearing a mask really deflects his vision. And second, when he was playing for the Spurs, he had so many good teammates to know where he wants to go and what he wants to do. So they don't really have to communicate too much. So the games just happen smoothly. But in South Korea, he was the best playing man. He doesn't have his best partner. So there's such a big workload on him. He has to care about so many things, and he was not in his best form, and he was not in his most relaxed form. So too much to think, too much to do, and maybe that's what something is holding him back.
Yeah, I could see that, because this Korea team is kind of a surprise, because you kind of forget how many play in the Bundesliga, how many are very talented players. But you look at where the goals came from. Like I say, Gui-sung Cho, he got those fantastic goals. However, when suddenly it was crunch time, they're 3-2 down, they need another goal. You are right, they all just turn around and look for Son. They just expect him to be the miracle man and get them out of the situation, which when he's injured like that, when he's not playing alongside Harry Kane, when he doesn't have Kulusevski out on the wing, when he's not playing in the Premier League and the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, when it's all these brand new conditions, he's not the kind of player who can pull miracles out. He is a great striker, don't get me wrong, but you can't rely him on being your one-man team.
Yeah, that's true. And I think so much for today. Thank you for listening. Hopefully we'll be hearing from you guys very soon tomorrow. See ya.
Speak to you then. Bye-bye.